Good afternoon, everyone. This is just going to be a quick video to talk about these, which are a new set of headphones that I bought over the sort of Christmas break period. These are Audio Technica ATH R70Xs. These are open back headphones, and they're taking open back quite literally. There's no hybrid hewing on here. They're open. There's the back of the driver. They're very light headphones. They are flat, maybe very slightly warm compared to something like the Sennheiser HD 600, which was the other headphones I was looking at. They're all very similar in cost, at round about $400 Canadian or so. In real world prices, not list price, of course. The other sort of headphone you might be looking at in this would be something like the Sennheiser HD 650s, which is also the Massdraw HD6XX, I think, which I think is the HD 650s. In Canada, you almost might as well buy the 650s when they go on sale, unless you have an easy way of getting stuff into the US from the Massdraw stuff. Anyhow, I wanted something a little different. These are super light. They're super comfortable. They're a bit weird with these little things instead of a headband, but because they're so light, that works perfectly. These are very much to my taste. I would rate them as neutral to maybe very slightly warm compared to the HD 600s. But that's only because that's where you're starting to. There's no sort of high emphasis. The high also feels pretty flat. So, in a sense, you might feel that they're a little less resolving if you're used to something that's a little bit brighter. Of course, you can brighten them up in EQ just by turning the treble up a couple of dB would make that change. The bass extension on these is pretty good. Lots of bass to about 30 hertz. And then it trails off. That's pretty good for open backs. The only thing I can think that's really a whole lot better would be the HD 560S, maybe. I mean, I'm just in terms of things that I know and I've tried. Maybe it's a little bit more bass than these do, but these are more neutral, even though that's a really beautifully tuned headphone. And these are much more detailed. The trick of these things is that, unlike the HD 600, these things image like mad and have a fairly open soundstage. So these are very immersive. I know gamers like them. I'm not much of one, but like them because they give you good precision. Sorry, the heat was on in the background. So what do you get in the package for your, I think they're 350 US list, or they come out to about 450 Canadian, a little less, depending. What do you get in the package? You get the headphones, you get a bag to keep dust off. These are, I think, a fairly fragile design. If I was going to carry them out of the house, that bag is not sufficient. This isn't going to protect them at all. It's just going to keep dust off. I would get a hard case if I was carrying them around. You get a standard cable of fairly normal headphone type with a screw-on 1/4-inch jack. Exactly what you expect. This is it's just relatively long, a bit long for a desk, not too long if you're working in a studio, and they're part of their studio line. This is actually a fine old-fashioned headphone cable. I have got no complaints with it. It's just a little long for my use. So I ordered from AliExpress a relatively inexpensive cable. This is a 2.5 millimeter balanced cable, because you can run these in balanced mode, which you might want to, because these are, well, they're very sensitive. The claim sensitivity is 99 dB per milliwatt, if I remember correctly. They also are 470 ohms. So at 470 ohms, they will treat your amp nicely in the sense that it won't run out of current, but it might run out of voltage. So if you're driving them with something small, you probably want to consider going into balance mode. This is my BTR 3K, which is sort of the low end of FiOS Bluetooth DAC amplifier set. This drives in-ear monitors all day, but for these it's pushed. However, it does have balanced output, and with the balanced output, because these are sensitive, even though this doesn't pack much power, it's perfectly fine. I'll do a video on balanced outputs at some point, but a balanced output essentially doubles the voltage that's available to a device like this, which could give you 3 to 4 times the power. 3 to 4 times the power is 10 dB. So a good example, these are going to come in the high 90s in terms of what this will drive them. High 90s dB in terms of what this will drive them. If you use the single-ended, if you use the unbalanced output. The balanced output will give you a 10 dB more approximately, so you get like 106, I think, dB as the maximum predicted volume out of this. Whether that's real world or not, I don't know. The point is, at actual listening levels of 70, 75 dB, there's tons of headroom with this, so it drives them very well. I can't remember who I ordered this cable from now. It's a bit stiff because it's braided very stiffly, but it's actually pretty nice quality. Yeah, you get some fake carbon fiber. Maybe it's even real carbon fiber. Who knows? On there. Well, it's fine. Certainly good for the money I paid for it. So, if you are thinking that you want neutral open back headphones, and that means that you've been thinking about the Sennheiser HD600s, I would suggest going around and having a listen to these things. Nice to try something different. They are definitely in the same ballpark in terms of the kind of quality you have. I think there's certainly a lot more spatial information that you get out of these. They're a touch warmer, which is to my taste. And yeah, I think these should be on your radar. But of course, headphone preferences are very individualized. We have different ears, we have different tastes. My preferences may not be your preferences. Measurements are helpful to compare, but can lie because your ears are different or you listen differently than other people. Always listen to stuff before you commit. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good afternoon.